This episode is exclusively sponsored by CanWe. Get clear on what you and your date are looking for faster. CanWe is your expert guide on your dating journey. Check out the CanWe app in Apple's App Store or on Google Play. Hi there, I'm Vincent Boss and I provide dating and self-improvement advice. And in today's podcast, we're going to be discussing grass is greener syndrome. What is gigs? I provide audio coaching to help people try and get their ex back or get a new girlfriend or boyfriend. Check out my website for more details. www.dateme.tips. Please check your spam and junk folders if you are expecting an email from me. So now let's get back into today's podcast. And today we are discussing grass is greener syndrome. What is gigs? So if you have been dumped and want to try to get your ex back, it's likely that you've considered your breakup in detail and are now researching the subject. It's possible that you've come across something known as gigs and you have wondered what it means. In today's podcast, I'm going to explain my thoughts on grass is greener syndrome and break it down into 3 points. So let's get straight into this. And number 1 is, what is gigs? So gigs is also known as grass is greener syndrome. And it's the concept that somebody in a relationship is never fully satisfied with their partner and they are under the impression that there will always be somebody better for them out there. Now, the name comes from the saying, the grass is always greener on the other side, which suggests that other people always seem to be in a better situation than you, even if that's not really the case. People suffering from gigs will start to feel a claustrophobia within their relationship, even if they have freedom and space within it. So if you are in a relationship and you have the freedom to spend time with your platonic friends, if you have the freedom to enjoy your own hobbies, if you have the space of being an individual within your relationship, but you still feel claustrophobic, then this can possibly be a sign of gigs. It's the feeling that you are never satisfied, the feeling that you believe there is something better for you out there. Now, you might not know exactly if and when you will find this better person, but you are never satisfied. And this is the key thing to understand about gigs. I'm not telling you that you should be settling down with the first person you ever date. I'm not suggesting that you should settle and not push forward trying to find your best possible connection. But there comes a time in life where you need to understand that if you get into a long-term relationship, you need to be trying to give it your all. You don't want to be getting into a long-term relationship under the impression that this is just a stepping stone. Somebody who suffers with gigs will never be satisfied, and even from the off, even when a relationship first begins, they will probably be thinking, this is not going to be my partner forever. And I do not believe that is a very kind or understanding way to get into a connection. It's not genuine. It's not something I believe you should be doing. Now, when you are single, I do suggest you date around. I do suggest you try to find your best connection, and I don't suggest you settle. But it does make a huge difference when you make a commitment to somebody. Now look, relationships don't always last. Sometimes people will grow in different directions and that connection will no longer work as well as it once did. At that time, a breakup may occur. But it's a totally different thing to go into a relationship with a lot of genuine feelings in comparison to somebody with gigs who goes into a relationship thinking, this is not going to be my forever person. I'm going to be with them until I find somebody better. And in my opinion, that is the essence of grass is greener syndrome. Now, when you're in a relationship with somebody with gigs, things might seem like they're going well, but at some stage you will likely see a few things start to flutter into your relationship in and out, where the person with gigs is showcasing themselves as somebody who is starting to feel frustrated about things for no particular reason. They started to feel agitated. Maybe they start to pick fault for no reason that you can fully understand. This can be a classic example of when gigs starts to overflow the mindset of the person who is suffering from it. So although they might go into the connection thinking to themselves, look, I'm not going to be with this person forever, they probably will at first try to maintain this relationship as strong as possible. But at some stage, these cracks will begin to appear. And it doesn't even necessarily mean that they have met somebody new at this time. Somebody who has gigs will have this mindset, whether or not they have somebody in their eye who they hope to connect with. This is a mindset. This is a situation where somebody is never satisfied and always believing that they will find better. So now let's get into point number 2 and the second point of today's podcast about grass is greener syndrome. And point number 2 is, does gigs cause breakups? Well, the answer is sometimes, but not always. Grass is greener syndrome can sometimes be something which is only felt internally, and the person suffering from this condition might never verbalize it, they might never take action. Now, this might mean that you could be in a relationship with somebody, and you might not even realize their true feelings, their true thoughts, that they're never satisfied, that they're looking for another better option in their mind, because if they don't bring it up, if they don't action this, you might never know about it. And if that's the case, is it a problem or not? Well, that's something for you to consider amongst yourselves, something for you to think on an individual basis. If it doesn't happen, if it doesn't cause a breakup, is it a problem? So when somebody is suffering from gigs, they have the mindset that they are not satisfied. They have the mindset that they believe they can do better, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to action it. And even if they do action it, it doesn't mean that they one day won't come back. Somebody who does action grass is greener syndrome will be ending the relationship and connecting with somebody new. Now, by virtue of doing this, this will be a type of rebound relationship. They'll be ending the relationship with you and get into a new relationship with somebody else. If they do this, then the rebound relationship rules apply. And that suggests that most connections made very soon after a breakup are unlikely to last in the long term. So if you've been dumped by somebody due to grass is greener syndrome, there is a strong possibility that the connection they move into won't last the test of time, and they will be single once more in a few months. There lies the possibility of them wanting to reconnect with you. Now, whether or not you do this is of course up to you, but please consider that somebody who suffers from gigs will probably always feel this same way unless they get professional help, unless they seek professional support to see if their mindset can be changed and their faulty thinking altered. But it can be very difficult to do, but it's very hard to decipher from somebody who is never satisfied in comparison to somebody who always believes that they're just trying to reach their goals, but just trying to do their best, and they're always trying to find the best. It can be very hard to decipher who is being unreasonable and who has just got a lot of ambition for finding the best things for themselves within their personal life. So if you do get professional help, realize that this might be something very tricky. It might not be something which alters their mindset completely. Additionally, this could be connected to attachment theories, attachment styles, which would have began in your partner's mindset at a very young age. These things can be deep-rooted, and the concept of whether somebody believes they can ever settle or not, and whether or not they are even settling, or whether this is just a great relationship that they're not appreciating, is down to the person's own beliefs. You know, it's in your own mindset, what you believe, what you think is right, what your ex thinks is right. This is a situation where you both might see things differently, and your friends might even be split on who is in the right and who is in the wrong. What I always say is, please don't get hung up on dating labels. Please don't get hung up on whether somebody has or doesn't have grass is greener syndrome. Because at the end of the day, if a relationship isn't working for whatever reason, then you are best out of it. And hence, whether or not your ex is suffering from grass is greener syndrome, whether this is something which can be helped and supported and altered, the faulty thinking changed with support from a professional, it's almost irrelevant in some regards. Like, why would you want somebody back who might just decide to go off again because of their own mindset, never wanting to be with you because they believe they can always find better? This is something for you to consider, but ultimately, I would suggest if you've been dumped for whatever reason, you must be moving forward with positivity. Never contact your ex again unless they contact you first. And even if they do, please consider all of your options and understand that you can find somebody even better than your ex. So now let's get into point number 3 and the final point of today's podcast, the final question about grass is greener syndrome. And question number 3 is gigs monkey branching? Well, in my opinion, gigs can be a thought or an action, whereas monkey branching is always an action. The action of moving from relationship to relationship like a monkey moves from branch to branch. Another difference is that monkey branchers are opportunists, whereas gigs creates a constant clouding of the mind. So if somebody is a monkey brancher, then they are always open to the possibility of upgrading in their own mind. And you might think this sounds similar to gigs, and in a lot of ways it is similar. But as I said, there are differences. Somebody with gigs doesn't necessarily action their thoughts, whereas a monkey brancher is all about action. But the flip side of this is whereas somebody with gigs will be thinking this through in their mind, somebody who is a monkey brancher probably won't even think about this from day to day. It will just be an opportunist thought of if and when they see somebody that they believe is an upgrade, they will then end their relationship instantly and move to the new connection. So there are subtle differences between gigs and monkey branches in my opinion. Everybody's got their own take on this stuff, but I believe that monkey branches are slightly different because they're all about action and they're opportunists. And grass is greener syndrome is more about a mindset which may or may not be actioned. So whether or not you think one is better than the other, whether or not you believe that one is a situation that can be got through and you can get your ex back and one is something which you cannot accept, that is down to you and your own unique perspective. But for me, they are different. For me, there is always an opportunity to get your ex back, but it's got to be right for you as well as your ex. Don't just feel that because you're the dumpee, you have to accept your ex back if and when they contact you. It's always important to remember that with or without your ex, you will have a positive future. And if you do enough of the right things and move forward with positivity, you can find somebody even better than your ex. If you believe that this podcast has helped you, then please consider buying me a coffee. The link to do so is in the description.
Yeah, if you miss your ex, we can help with that. Help you get him back, or we can help find you someone else. Yeah, Vincent, the relationship coach, giving you some insight, bringing you a new approach. DateMe.tips, go and check the site, giving you advice, helping with your love life. Get your ex back, or move to the next. Ain't no sweat, you know Vincent got you. Finding love ain't no problem. Yeah, DateMe.tips, check it out now.